Hey guys, so today I'm talking to you about why won't my kids listen to me? I just want the best for them. I just want them to play good sports. Why won't they listen to me? So, first, I don't know why. I got 4 kids, and I can tell you that they just don't listen to their own parents a lot of times. I've got one, Evan, who actually will listen and work on stuff. It's unique, it's out of the ordinary, but the other 3, I'm like, hey, it would be great for you to juggle in soccer. And they're like, no, what do you know, you old man with gray hair? So sometimes if you want the best for your kid and they're not listening to you, let me hit share on this guy, then weirdly, right? I mean, how many of you guys have had this happen? Somebody else says the exact same thing to them, and they're like, wow, that is so profound. You're telling me that in soccer, if I spend 5 to 10 minutes every day juggling, then I'm going to be better than I was before? Why didn't my parents ever say this? And you're like, well, so in those moments, you need to make a decision. Do you want to be right, or do you want them to do the right thing? So with my first kid, Olivia, I'm sorry, Olivia, I blew it big time. If anybody ever said that, I'd be like, Olivia, that's what I said. Why didn't you listen to your wise dad? I'm so smart, right? And then we had a fight about why she never listened. And really, by now my last kid, Evie, I'm like, I'm actually her coach for her club soccer team. So if somebody else says what I've been coaching in soccer, and she's like, oh, that's really good, I should try that. I'm like, and I just say, wow, that is awesome. I'm glad someone gave you such great advice. Are you going to follow it? So now instead of being right, I just want her to do the right thing. So you have to change your mindset. So let me offer you this. If you're that dad or mom and you always tell your kids the best advice because you got the best stuff, right? Call me, text me, let's talk. Let's make sure your advice actually makes sense. And then I'll just do a little text video to your kid telling them what you said because I'm like, yeah, they're right. And hearing it from someone else has a lot of clout. Hearing it from maybe someone else that they've seen on the field or they know coaches or something gives them a little bit more clout. But the weird thing is, if it's not their parent, it helps a whole lot. So let me back up on this and give you some extra strategy. So I talk to you guys all the time about getting a mentor. And this is somewhere where I wish I had somebody to mentor me when I was younger. So for Evan and Olivia, if you are listening to this, if you watch your dad's videos, I am so sorry for the first 10 years of your sports life, maybe 15 years. So for Olivia, when she would play soccer, we would get in, I would be that dad on the sideline, Olivia! And then she'd look over at me and then mess up more. I'm like, Olivia! She'd look over at me and mess up more. And the coach is like, hey, Dad, could you stop being a jerk? I'm like, I'm not a jerk. I'm just coaching my kid because you're not a good enough coach. So I need to coach them because I didn't know they messed up. And I need to tell them in front of everybody that, hey, you just messed up and call attention to it. And that was so mean. So I don't do that. I didn't do that for Levi and Evie. But man, Olivia, I am so sorry. I was a jerk dad. First time ever being a dad, and you're my practice kid. Dads, don't be that dad. If you don't think you're that dad, but you're like, I do talk, have someone video you or just video near you and then listen to it. If you're yelling your kid's name while they're out there playing a sport, you're doing the wrong thing. You're distracting them. If you're trying to coach them because they did something wrong, they know it, and their coach knows it. Right? So here's the thing. If you want them to play a sport, then don't be the jerk. Instead, our club, Cherokee Impact, sent out this email, and it was great. Right through it said what most college, in this case soccer, which most college athletes wanted from their parents was to hear, I love watching you play, and actually that was it. I love watching you play, right? So here's what I do for my kids now. I tell them, when we get in the car, when we're there, even my team, I'm like, girls, I really love watching you play. You make me so proud with the effort. So I don't say, you won, that's great, because then only winning is great. I don't really care about that yet. I want the effort. If they did put in effort, right? So that's a growth mindset. So listen to Chasing Excellence. You'll learn all about growth mindset or Stoic principles or whatever. Mindset by, her last name's DeWick. I can't think of her first name. Great book. I don't have it over here. It's in my, it's in the other place. But so what you want to do then is praise them, right? Let them know how you really feel. Like, so when Evie comes, or Levi comes off the field, I'm like, hey, Levi, I really enjoyed watching you play soccer. Then we get in the car, I'm like, man, buddy, I really love watching you play soccer. The way you settled that ball out of the air in the second half, that was awesome. The goalie kicked it so high, that was so cool to see you accelerate after practicing juggling for so long. It's fun to see it, right? And then I ask him, hey, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you think you did? And for him, he's usually a bit more tactical in it, like what he did, and he'll give a number more based around effort and outcomes, whereas Evie will give a number based on just how much fun she had. So they could have lost 0 to 10, but I don't know, she did something cool, or our team was building her up anyway, or whatever, just something in the terms of fun for her. She'll come off, you're like, oh, it was a 10. I'm like, okay. I mean, great. If that's what she feels, perfect. You know, if she says, well, it's a 1, I'm like, well, why do you think it was a 1? So then we talk about that, but I let her discuss that. So you can push them out of sports easily by being that jerk dad, and they'll just quit. But if you're supportive, then at least they've got someone to go back to. They already have a coach, and they have a dad. Are you the dad or are you the coach? I guess technically I'm both for Evie, and it's a kind of a tough line to walk. I don't ask her or don't call her out many times, and I probably don't throw enough praise on the field, but it's a weird line to walk, right? The next thing is this. I did this for Olivia and Evan, and I've gotten off this wagon for Levi and Evie, but you need to have a goal. What is it? Do you intend to play in college? Okay, well then everyone needs to step up their game. If the kid's not stepping up their game because they want to play in college, then they probably don't want to play in college, right? If they say, oh, I'm going to the pros, but they don't juggle every day, hey, Blake, then if they're not juggling every day or something like that, then probably not going to the pros. They don't really have that desire, right? So you could be pushing your kid to be excellent. That's awesome. So let's take my premier team. This is the point I'm trying to get to, is there's always something better, and where do you want to go? So I got a 2008 girls premier soccer team. So that's the B team. It is true, I can coach them, they can become better, and they can make the A team. Okay, so now I've got a girl who's worked hard, she's maybe gone to the A team, and the A team is like, great, we'll take her, and she's playing, and let's say she builds from there. Is there more? Is there better? Is there a tougher soccer? Yeah, there is. The A team could win all of their games, and they get promoted to the next league, or she changes clubs to get into a better team, right? So now, instead of being close, like say we're at Impact, so Woodstock is easy with Impact, now she's driving because she changed teams to get to a better team, right? And the kids are better. They pull from a wider area, so you can pull better kids from a wider area. That just makes sense. And it's all a numbers game. So now let's say they're, I don't know, practicing in Dunwoody, okay? It's on a better team. DA, actually, that's been, they got rid of DA, so we'll just call DA anyway. They're on a DA team somewhere, and it's better soccer. She's traveling an hour to get to practice. It's really tough. They're now losing a lot of their games, right? So she got to the highest level, and they petered out. What does it get? I don't know. Why? That's the bigger question. And we talk about this in Your Health and Fitness. Have a why. So for Olivia, my oldest kid, it was like, you were going to be the best because, well, why not? Just be the best, right? For the other kids, now that she's in high school, we've determined, well, really our goal for soccer is to be able to play a high school sport and be good so that people are like, hey, good job. And it's fun, right? We have no intentions to play sports in college. They're going to use their brain to make money, not their athleticism, because athleticism goes away and your brain never will. You'll make tons more money with your brain than athleticism. So we're choosing brain. My kids like STEM, or at least maybe we forced them into it. I don't know. I'm an engineer, so is their mom. So is their grandparent. I mean, we got engineers all over in the family, so maybe it's in the genes. I don't know. But now, for the younger ones, we know what the goal is. Let's play pretty decent high school soccer. So they're working towards that goal. So if Levi says, well, I don't really want to juggle today, I'm like, well, okay, you're probably one of the best midfielders out there. If that's what you want to play, I don't care, don't juggle. So we go to a smaller school, Fellowship Christian. It's not that tough to be one of the better players because, again, small pool of kids. There's only 400 high schoolers. So how many of them play club soccer or at least want to continue in it? Not many. So it's not too tough to play decent soccer at that level, right? So same thing with Evie. What do you want to do? Well, really, Dad, I just want to play pretty good in high school soccer. I'm like, okay. So you could be on the B team for your club team, play the position you want, get the skills and the time on the field that you want, have a lot more fun, less travel. Does that work for you? And she's like, yeah. So my point is this: if you don't know your end goal or it's not realistic, like, your kid is like, well, she has trouble with goal side or whatever the sport is. Still, even at like age 15, 16, probably not going to play pro soccer, right? If they're not doing stuff on their own, probably not going to play pro whatever it is. Maybe not even college, right? There's more scholarships for girls to play college. But my point is this: one, don't be a jerk. Tell them you love them. I mean, unless you don't like watching them play, right? They need to know that. They need to hear it. Man, I love watching you play ... How do you think you did on a scale of 1 to 10? Great. And just let it go. Let them talk about it. They'll bring it up. Don't be that dad or mom that's yelling. Oh my gosh, I still have parents on my, hey Bert, hey Blake, I still have parents on my 2008 team, and I've told them, stop it. And they still yell. And my wife videoed some of Evie playing, and I have them on video. I'm like, golly, I can't believe they're saying that to their own kid, right? I mean, it's just embarrassing, right? If your kid messes up, they know they messed up. There's no reason to yell at them. Why do you keep messing up? Well, because they don't have contracts, because they're kids, right? So don't be that dad. If you want them to learn something or know something and you've been telling it to them and they won't listen, call me, text me, let's talk. We'll see if your advice makes sense, and I'll talk to them. I'll give them a video text or meet them in person. I don't care. I'm here to help you guys. Well, if you live in Alaska, I'm not meeting you in person. So, yeah, tell them you love them. You love watching them play. Ask for the advice to come from someone else. That always helps. Don't be that dad. And the last one, and it's so important, I say this in everything, even for us adults, have a why. If you don't have a good why or a goal for what you're doing, why are we playing club soccer? Why do we travel every weekend to play club soccer? When Olivia quit playing club soccer, it broke my heart until I realized, she's actually pretty good on high school, and this is our first one, so we didn't know. So I guess it didn't really matter, right? And now she does CrossFit every day with Evan. And when Evan quit, it didn't break my heart. He's like, here are my reasons for quitting. I'm like, pretty valid reasons. I love that you have a why and you know your goals and you have a good thought out process of why quitting club soccer makes sense to you, right? And he CrossFits every day. So, of course, being a teenage boy, he wants to eat more and lift more because that's what teenage boys want to do, right? And anyway, so for my next ones, Levi's like, I don't know, I don't get as much playing time as I used to. The coach doesn't specifically coach me. He just kind of, it's not maybe the best environment for me. So he's like, I may quit or move clubs. I'm like, hey man, that's up to you. You make that decision. We don't play. So let me back up a whole lot. I don't play soccer or coach soccer for the sake of, let's make champions. I do it as a coach to invest in kids and for kids to have the opportunity to learn those things that doing a bubble Scantron, actually I don't know if they do Scantrons anymore, I don't even know if they do bubble tests. You know what I mean? When we were in school and we would bubble in, and then when you do a bubble in test, you don't learn character. I mean, maybe don't cheat, but there's so many things that happen on the field of sports, whatever sport, that'll impact you for the rest of your life. So we have conversations in our house about, well, did you talk to your coach? Well, no. I'm like, how's he supposed to ever know? Did you talk to your boss, right? How's he supposed to just read your mind? Did you tell him? Did you tell him, I'm probably going to quit because I don't like what you're doing to us? Maybe nobody's had the courage to say that. Bosses, owners of businesses would love to hear that feedback. So we have those conversations. Did you talk to him? Are you just simply crying and whining and walking away, right? Are you just looking for a thumb like or a click like? Or are you learning those experiences? If you want more playing time, are you doing the things to get it? If you want a raise at work, what are you doing to get that raise? Well, I'd show up from 9 to 5. So does everybody else. So playing a sport is great. And you don't want to be a fixed mindset of you must win or you've lost, right? Instead, you want to reward them for, man, I'm proud of the effort that you've put into this. Look at what you've done. The effort is, hey, EJ, the effort is what you want out of your kids. That survives over the games. I don't remember how many wrestling matches or pole vaulting meets or soccer tournaments that I won. I remember the feeling of it, And I remember actually some other stuff that's pretty cool. My dad did a lot of this stuff for us. He's a sales guy. So he had a lot of things in terms of goals. And he said, here's your mantra. Let's create a mantra for wrestling. And so we've done that. And we did that. And I have it. And I still remember it to this day. Maybe one day I'll share that mantra with you. But we actually did that for our kids as well. So my kids have a McCann Kids Anchor. And we made it like 5 years ago. But the idea was, let's have a future-focusing mindset and reward the actions that they're taking, right? So, okay, that's pretty far back. I am being their mentor. You should get a mentor. And a mentor it could be anywhere from your church. I would say don't make it your dad or your brother, because they may not, or your sister or whatever, they may not tell you the hard stuff in life like you need to hear. So you need somebody who is like, I'm okay if you don't like me, because I'm just telling you truth, right? Have them speak truth. So have a mentor to help walk you through this. I could have probably had a better relationship with Olivia. Olivia, I love you. I know we're still good and we're growing through teenage years together. First kid, so sorry for the mistakes. But this isn't the first time that a dad has had a teenage daughter. I mean, there's tons of them out there. Had I just found another dad that had a teenage daughter that was maybe 10 years older than me and said, hey, could you give me some advice? They would probably give you some advice, and it'd be really good advice because they've already been there. So anyway, I hope this helps. If there's an action that I can give you, let me talk to your kids for you and tell them, hey, if you want to go to the pros and you're not juggling every day, probably not going to the pros. Hope you're doing well in school, right? I can tell them those things, and it won't be you. It'll be somebody else. Happy to help out. All right, guys, take care.